Hi everyone, it's Mandy from Designs by Miss Mandy. Designing cut files is something I do every day, and I love sharing tips for designers who are interested in making die cut projects of their own. Recently, I had someone ask how they might go about designing a flap within a larger shape for a paper craft they wanted to make. While I did my best to explain this process, it's definitely something that's much easier to understand visually. So, today I'll be showing you how you can design what I'm calling a partial cut file, or a cut within a cut design. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to be starting off in Adobe Illustrator and then moving into Cricut Design Space later on. Today the main Illustrator tools I'll be using are shape tools like the rectangle tool, the add anchor point tool, and pathfinder tools like minus front. So as you can see, I have a couple different shapes here, and we're going to be starting off working with this house shape that I've already created. What I'm going to be doing today is adding a little door to the front that I want to be able to open and shut, and so I don't want it to be completely cut out like these windows are. See, if I drag this over, you can see the windows are cut out, but I don't want the door to be completely cut out. So hopefully this will make sense as I go along. Alright, so I'm going to be using strokes instead of fill, and then I'm going to be taking my rectangle tool, which you can find over here in your toolbar under your shapes, or you can just use shortcut M. And I'm just going to make a door shape that's going to sit just a little bit inside of my house. Okay, so that's about the size I want my door to be, but if I were to leave this as is right now, this would be completely cut out of my house shape, and I don't want that. So what I want to do is I'm going to use the add anchor point tool, which you can find over in your toolbar under your pen tools, and it's this one that has the little plus sign. You can also use plus as the shortcut to get to that tool. And I'm going to add an anchor point on my right edge here of my shape. And after I do that, I'm just going to click delete. And so now, when I send this file to cut, it's only going to read the top, left side, and bottom edges of this rectangle since we've deleted this right side. And so that is a pretty easy way that you can add a flap or a door or whatever you want to call it to the inside of a larger shape. So down here, what I'm going to show you is something a little bit different. I'm going to be making a partial cut within a cut that's a little bit more complex than just a rectangle. So this is going to be a place card that I'm making. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to add a line down the middle so I can see where the fold would be if this were a place card. And what I want for this place card, I've made this little rainbow shape over here, and I want to take this rainbow shape, see if I can get it centered, there we go, and I just want this part of the rainbow that's above this center line to be cut out so that it'll pop out when I fold the place card in half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rectangle tool again. I'm just going to hit M, and I'm going to just make a rectangle that covers at least this bottom half part of the clouds up to this center line. Hopefully this will make sense visually once it's finished. It makes sense in my head. Now I'm going to hold shift and select both my rainbow and my rectangle tool. I'm going to go over to my pathfinder tools. If you don't have it over here on your right hand side, you can go to window and click on pathfinder. So with those both selected, I'm going to click the second one called minus front. So now my rainbow is flat along the folded edge, which is exactly what I want, or almost exactly. So I'm going to hide this line for a minute, and I'm going to change this to outlines. I find that when I'm doing cuts like this, that switching to strokes helps me to be able to better visualize how this will be cut out. So right now, I don't want this entire shape to be cut out of my place card, since I want the rainbow part to still be connected. In order to do that, I just need to delete these cut paths along the edge that I just want folded. So I'm going to take my add anchor point tool again and just add an anchor point here and then delete it just like last time, and add one here and delete it. See? Not too bad. And now instead of having a line all the way across to act as my fold, I don't want to score this part underneath the clouds, so I'm just going to go back and quickly add 3 lines that are going to act as my score lines for my place card. Alright, so the last thing that I like to do before I get this ready to send to Cricut Design Space is I like to change my lines to be some obnoxious colors so that they stand out a little bit more, so that I recognize that I need to change them to be either cut lines or score lines once they're in Cricut Design Space. This isn't something you necessarily have to do, it's just something that I like to do, and maybe it'll make sense later on as to why I like to do that. So what I'm going to do is I like to turn anything that's going to be a line that's cut out of a larger shape, I like to turn it into a pink line, like a bright vivid pink. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one down here. And then anything that's going to be a score line, I just like to turn to lime green. I'm also going to group these 3 score lines together, and then I'm going to select all of these shapes and group them together as well. And I'm just doing that by hitting Command G, or you can go to Object and then go to Group, when it's selected, of course. And then I'm going to group these together. Alright, going to get rid of any extra things that I have on my artboard and save my file. And then I'll meet you over in Cricut Design Space. So here I am over in Cricut Design Space, and I've uploaded my designs and put them onto my new canvas. So now the first thing that you're going to need to do is ungroup everything. Cricut likes to group all of your shapes together, and we just need to click ungroup once, and then we can get started. So I'm going to start with my house shape. Both of these shapes are set to cut, which is correct, so the only thing I need to do is select both of them and hit attach. And that one's ready to go. For my place card, there's just a couple extra steps. I just need to select the lines that I want to be scored, and I can tell that they're my score lines because it'll show up here that it's a bright green color, and I know that that means that I want to have them scored. So I'm going to change it over here from in the line type section to be scored. Then this is my bright pink, and I know that, so I'm going to want that to stay as a cut line. Select everything and hit attach. And now both of these shapes are ready to go. I can just send them to cut, or if I want to make multiple place cards, I can duplicate them as many times as I want, and then I can fit more of them on one page. Whatever you like to do. So there you have it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and you put your newfound cut file design skills to good use.